Welcome to the 2021 Humanism Conference of Humanists International. My name is Andrew Copson, I'm the President of Humanists International, and I'm going to chair our online meeting today. We were so happy to see over 300 people register for this conference. I'd like to welcome everyone who's attending and all of those of you who are viewing this video after the event. We can see many familiar names of many friends among the participants, including hundreds of individual supporters of Humanists International. And I hope that by the end of this conference, even more individual supporters will join our global family, because it's thanks to your support that we can keep promoting and defending humanist values all around the world. As you know, the theme of this year's conference is Humanism in Times of Crisis. And we chose this theme because the last 2 years have been incredibly difficult for the global humanist community, as they have been for humanity as a whole. The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020 put our societies, our economies, and our shared feeling of solidarity and belonging to the test. But desperation and resignation did not prevail. Humanists all around the world stood true, and still are standing true, to the fundamental values of our humanist approach: reason, science, democracy, and human empathy. And thanks to global cooperation, investment in scientific research, and individual efforts, humanity now sees a glimmer of light at the end of this tunnel. Our conference today will be a moment to look back at the last 2 years of fighting against the virus and to reflect on the importance of humanist worldviews in times of crisis like the ones we're living in today. It will also be an occasion to praise the courage of humanist activists around the world. And today, indeed, we will announce 4 awards. We always give at least 1 award, but to recognise such exceptional efforts by humanists this year, we're giving 4. So please stay until the end of the conference to make sure that you get the exciting news of who our recipients are. What we want to reaffirm today is that staying true to our humanist values is all the more important in times of hardship and in times of crisis. Humanists International has existed to serve and represent the global humanist community since 1952. And in those nearly 7 decades, we've known many hardships of different kinds. But we can all agree, I think, that what we are facing today is unparalleled for its radical impact on everyday lives and its global nature. We don't know what society will quite look like when this pandemic is over. The changes may or may not be dramatic. But as humanists, we want to be part of the reconstruction process, addressing the social and political issues that are at the heart of our approach to life. And in this regard, we've all been so impressed and proud to see all the work done by humanist organisations globally in the last 2 years in the midst of this storm. We've seen our members and associates responding quickly to the emergency, sticking to our core humanist values, living those values throughout: reason, science, critical thinking, universalism, empathy, and solidarity. And as we'll hear later during the Asian Humanism Roundtable, humanist organisations are working on many fronts. Many organisations are providing care and support to their communities, not just to humanists in need, but to all people in need, providing shelter, food, sanitizer, and essential goods to the most vulnerable. Other organisations have focused on spreading proper scientific information to a wider audience, fighting against superstition and the dissemination of harmful misinformation. This part of our work and the work of our organisations can't be underestimated. As Leo Igwe, our friend and colleague, said, superstition is almost like another virus to fight. We all know how lonely and frightening these times can be. And that's why I urge all of you to always keep in mind, not just when we're all together like this, but all the time, that you are part of a global humanist family, a movement which puts human well-being at its heart, and a family that will still be there for us when this situation is over. Thanks to investment in science and research, humanity now has multiple vaccines against COVID-19, and many of you will have seen that prominent humanists have been involved in the development of those vaccines and in the scientific endeavours in many nation states. It was an incredible example of global and scientific cooperation, and we're here today also, therefore, to celebrate the pivotal role of scientific research in dealing with this pandemic, including many humanist scientists, as I say. And later on today, of course, we'll have a talk by our guest lecturer, Stephen Pinker, which will address this importance of reason directly. Because it's in the light of rationality and of modern science that humanity is no longer lost in blind panic as we were in so many pandemics of the past. We now know what a virus is, how it works, and how we can fight against it and save lives. This should be a call then for hope and rational optimism, but also a call to never stop fighting and never stop the struggle. Of all the battles we engage in, of course, none of them are yet over, and that includes the battle against this virus. Humanists International has urged the United Nations to ensure an equitable and fast vaccine rollout on a global scale, because we're all in this together, and no country, community, or individual can think of overcoming this crisis alone. Our conference today is about the virus, the pandemic, and these 2 years of crisis, but I think it would also be remiss of us if we didn't take just a little moment to remember a significant proportion of humanity that is suffering in a way that is very dear to humanist concerns today. And I'm talking, of course, about the people of Afghanistan, who currently are suffering what seems to be an almost inevitable slide back into the vicious theocracy to which they were subjected for so many years. There can often seem like very little that we as individuals can do about situations so severe as that. But just as we have before, Humanists International will continue to reach out to work with Afghans who are leaving Afghanistan, but also at a policy level in the international institutions to urge the maintenance of human rights all across the region, including in Afghanistan. And I'm sure we'll all want to hold in our thoughts today, particularly the position of girls and women in Afghanistan, but of all people who are brutalized by totalitarian theocracy and will be in the days to come. Now, as I'm sure you will recall, last year we were supposed to gather all together in Miami for the World Humanist Congress, and this year we were looking forward to meeting in Kathmandu in Nepal for our 2021 General Assembly and Conference. Both of those events were relocated online because of the pandemic, and now we're all looking forward to the 2022 General Assembly in Glasgow, where we'll finally be able to gather, see each other face to face again in person after 2 years of virtual meetings. But I would like to think that in our minds and hearts, we are in Kathmandu, immersed in the spectacular beauty of Nepal's landscapes and enjoying the hospitality of our humanist friends in Nepal.